The alarm felt heavier than usual today. Not painful, just difficult enough to make silence sound attractive.
For a little longer, my body moves slowly through familiar routines. Socks on the floor, cold water on my face. Shoes waiting quietly near the doorway again.
There was a time I mistook energy for commitment. Thought strong effort always looked sharp, confident, fully awake.
Very tired, still present, not shining, not inspired, just here again.
Breathing through another morning without needing
to feel unstoppable first. Some fatigue lives deeper than muscles do, hidden inside schedules.
Unfinished thoughts,
long weeks that never fully settled into rest.
And still, something continues returning to these roads, to this rhythm, to the quiet agreement between movement and survival.
I expected endurance to feel stronger, more dramatic, more certain.
But often it arrives
soft-spoken
and nearly invisible.
Very tired, still present, became its own form of resilience.
Not explosive, not impressive,
just honest enough to keep showing up.
For someone, fatigue comes from work. For someone, from loneliness. For someone, from carrying pressure without language for too long.
And most of it goes unnoticed because exhausted people
still answer messages,
still go to work,
still tie their shoes quietly.
The older I become, the more I admire gentle persistence,
the kind that survives
without needing attention
to continue existing.
Very tired,
still present,
still matters deeply.
Because some days remaining visible to yourself is already a meaningful victory. People talk about ambition
because it sounds beautiful,
but exhaustion teaches things
ambition never could. About patience,
about fragility,
about staying
human. And maybe strength isn't always intensity.
Maybe sometimes
it's choosing not to disappear
during difficult years
that ask you to fade quietly.
Very tired, still present, that's how some people survive.
Not perfectly, not gracefully, just steadily enough to remain alive. Inside themselves,
heavy eyes,
steady steps, still here. There were mornings, nothing inspired me. No fire, no hunger, just dim light through half-open curtains and heavy legs. The playlist ended before I noticed coffee cool beside me, while I delayed the simple act of putting shoes on again. I used to think consistency belonged to motivated people, to disciplined minds, to those who woke up certain of themselves every morning. Endurance beyond motivation begins after excitement fades, when movement survives without applause, without momentum, without needing to feel powerful first. Some runs carried purpose, some carried frustration, some carried absolutely nothing except routine and the quiet refusal to disappear completely that day. And strangely, those empty feeling miles still built something inside me, even when I doubted they mattered at all. I expected growth to feel energizing, but many important changes arrived exhausted slowly through repetition, without emotional reward. Endurance beyond motivation reshaped my understanding of strength itself. Not intensity, not constant passion, but the ability to return honestly. For someone, motivation disappeared after failure. For someone, after heartbreak. For someone, life simply people who continue gently without needing inspiration every single day to keep moving forward. Endurance beyond motivation still lives inside me now, in calmer persistence and less panic, and knowing I can continue even when the feeling doesn't arrive first. People celebrate passion because it shines brightly, but endurance often grows in dimmer places where nobody claps for showing up tired again. Maybe maturity is realizing you won't always feel ready at choosing movement without waiting for perfect emotion to return. Difficult years, low energy, steady steps, still moving. There are winters that stay too long, dark mornings where even small movement felt unreasonable against the weight of everything else. Shoes by the door became negotiations, not habits. Some nights I slept wearing exhaustion like another layer of clothing. I used to believe discipline looks sharp, focused, consistent, but difficult seasons made everything less elegant than that. Long roads through hard seasons, that's what changed me most. Not perfect training blocks, not easy momentum, just continuing slowly while life pressed hard against my chest. Carried anger, some carried grief, some carried nothing at all except the need to leave the house before my thoughts grew louder. And certain roads absorbed everything silently. Street lights, rain-soaked sidewalks, bridges crossed, half awake before sunrise arrived again. I expected progress to feel rewarding, but sometimes growth felt more like survival, repeated quietly over longer stretches than anyone. Myself. For someone, the difficult season is failure. For someone, loneliness. For someone, waking up every day without clarity and moving anyway. And none of those struggles announce themselves publicly. Most are carried privately through ordinary schedules, while the world assumes you're functioning normally. The older I become, the less I admire intensity alone. Anyone can burn brightly for a short season, but staying present through difficult years requires another kind of strength. Long roads through hard seasons still live inside me, in calmer breathing and quieter reactions, and the strange confidence that comes from surviving what once felt endless. People celebrate breakthroughs, but rarely talk about endurance. The slow kind, the invisible kind, the version that keeps moving without certainty for months at a time. And maybe resilience isn't loud determination. Maybe it's returning softly to the same road, even after difficult seasons change your entire rhythm. Long roads through hard seasons made me slower in some ways, but deeper in others. Now I understand why certain runners carry calmness inside tired eyes. Cold wind, long road, still here. disappear the moment you leave them, forgotten quickly beneath newer places, new routines, new versions of yourself. But certain rules remain with unsettling detail, cracks in the sidewalk, the sound of crossing lights, cold air rising from empty rivers before sunrise. At the time they felt temporary, just somewhere to train, somewhere to clear my head. I didn't realize memory was building itself there quietly. Certain roads never leave you, even after years pass. They return suddenly through weather, through silence, through the way your chest tightens on difficult mornings. There's one long stretch where I nearly gave up, one intersection where anger carried me forward, one bridge where exhaustion finally turned into acceptance. And somehow those places kept aging beside me, their meanings deepening as life became heavier. Less about performance, more about endurance in ordinary days. I used to believe growth belonged to races, to results, to measurable things. But looking back now, some of the deepest changes happened alone on silent roads. Certain roads never leave you because part of you remain there, not physically but emotionally stored somewhere inside your breathing and posture. For someone, a road becomes healing. For someone, unfinished grief. For someone, the only place where their thoughts stop running first. And none of those meanings stay fixed forever. Time reshapes every memory until pain itself starts looking softer from enough distance away. The older I become, the more I understand. Certain roads witness versions of me nobody else fully saw at the time. Certain roads never leave you, not because they were perfect, but because they carried you through seasons you weren't sure you would survive gracefully. Most people think roads are background scenery, but some become archives, holding breath, fear, hope, and unfinished conversations with yourself. And maybe we revisit them, not to relive the past, but to recognize how far we've quietly traveled since those lonely mornings. Certain roads never leave you, they continue living inside your instincts, inside your resilience, inside the strange calm that appears now when hard things begin again. Old pavement, new heartbeat, still remembering. Your breathing changes before the race begins, shorter, quieter, like your body knows something important is close. You check your watch again without needing to, hands cold. Despite the crowd, eyes lowered more than usual this morning. Months of effort suddenly feel fragile, standing still behind a painted line, wondering if any of it was enough. 5 minutes before the start, your heartbeat speaks louder than the speakers, than the voices, than the city waking up, and somehow you stand there anyway. Some runners stretch, some force conversations, some stare ahead like they already belong here, while doubt moves quietly through everyone the same way. You remember mornings nobody saw, the tide runs, the skip plans, the nights you almost stop believing in yourself. There's no perfect perfect confidence waiting for you. No magical calm before the gun. Just breathe, trying to steady itself inside uncertainty. 5 minutes before the start, fear isn't failure, it's evidence that this matters more deeply than you admit out loud. For someone, this race means redemption. For someone, unfinished grief. For someone, it's proof they came back after breaking apart. And all those private stories stand together now, hidden beneath big numbers, carefully controlled breathing in tired eyes, pretending to stay calm. Courage rarely arrives feeling powerful. Most of the time, it sounds like a nervous inhale before choosing not to leave. 5 minutes before the start, you don't need certainty, you only need the willingness to begin. While doubt is still breathing beside you. People think races begin with movement, but sometimes they begin earlier, inside the silence, before the countdown ends. And maybe bravery isn't removing fear, maybe it's carrying it gently all the way to the first step. 5 minutes before the start, every version of yourself stands here together. The tired one, the hopeful one, the one who almost quit, and the one still choosing the line. Cold morning air, one final inhale, then go. Go.
Colder enters, sharper than usual. Lungs adjusting slowly against the morning, while thousands of footsteps shuffle softly
Behind barricades,
zippers closing, watches glowing. Someone laughing too loudly to hide their nerves. Paper cups trembling slightly inside tired hands.
I check my pace band 3 times already, even though I memorized it weeks ago. Nothing left to prepare except myself.
Breathing
Before the gun, every inhale feels louder than the crowd, like my body is trying to negotiate with what's coming.
the start line never looks real until you stand there inside it.
Heart moving faster than the music through the speakers.
Some runners stare forward, some stretch in silence, some keep talking because stopping would leave them alone with their thoughts too long.
Months of training reduce themselves into this narrow space between anticipation and fear, between standing still and release.
Breathing before the gun, holding together everything I carried here through dark mornings, endured weeks, and unfinished doubt.
For someone,
This is redemption,
for someone,
unfinished business,
for someone.
the first attempt at becoming someone braver.
And all those meanings gather quietly beneath race bibs, beneath calm faces, beneath controlled breathing that isn't fully controlled at all.
The older I get, the more I realize courage rarely feels heroic. Usually it sounds like breathing
Carefully while waiting
to begin anyway.
Breathing before the gun, I can feel every year that brought me here. Every version of myself standing together inside this heartbeat.
Before motion begins,
People think races begin with movement, but sometimes they begin earlier, inside the silence, before the countdown finishes. And maybe breathing isn't preparation, maybe it's the final conversation between fear and commitment before they merge into action. Breathing before the gun, the world narrows beautifully. Nothing exists now except cold air, steady hands,
and the promise to keep moving.
Deep inhale, stillness breaks.
I barely remember the exact split times. Numbers faded, foot faster than I'd scrapped it. What remained instead were fragments without clear order.
Cold air near the start, paper cups shaking, someone breathing hard.
Beside me, streetlights dissolving
Into early morning fog before the gun.
At the time I thought the meaning lived inside the finish, inside completion, inside finally reaching what I chased for months.
Years after crossing, I understand differently now.
The race didn't change my life all at once.
It changed
How I carried myself through the years after it. Back then I measured everything through pace, through endurance, the whether I stopped before the line appeared.
Now I notice different things, how calmly I face pressure, how quietly I recover, how often I return after difficult seasons.
I expected transformation to feel dramatic, but most lasting changes arrive softly,
Hidden inside ordinary mornings afterward.
years after crossing.
Certain races still move inside me, not as achievement, but as reference points for who I became when things grew difficult later in life.
For someone, it was survival. For someone, unfinished healing. For someone, the first honest proof they could endure their own doubts. And none of those meanings stayed frozen. Time reshaped them, added weight, removed noise, left only what mattered.
The older I become, the more I believe endurance travels beyond sports. Certain efforts keep teaching you.
Long after the crowd disappears,
Years after crossing, I still hear parts of that day.
difficult decisions,
In silent resilience,
and the strange comfort of knowing I stayed moving when quitting felt cleaner.
most people think races end at the tape, but some continue quietly.
Through posture, through perspective,
Through the way you survive,
ordinary years afterward.
and maybe memory,
Keep certain finishes alive
because they revealed something.
you needed much later.
Not just back then.
Years after crossing,
Years after crossing, years after crossing, the finish line looks smaller now, but what it awakened inside me
kept expanding through every season that followed. Old race bib, new life still crossing. Most races faded faster than expected. Photos buried, results forgotten. Conversation shortened into how'd it go a few days later.
But some finishes never left, not because of medals or time on screen. Something else attached itself to memory.
I can still recall certain final turns, the texture of breathing under stadium lights, the strange silence inside exhaustion when everything narrowed.
Some finish lines stay forever,
Not in headlines,
not in records,
but somewhere deeper where effort
stop being performance.
and became truth. One finish held relief, another held grief. One felt like survival, another like apology.
To a version of myself
I almost abandoned
years
earlier. And somehow the body stored all of it in heartbeat patterns and certain dawns, and the way my chest tightens before difficult starts.
Even now, I used to think finishes measured success,
But some only revealed what mattered enough to carry
beyond the day itself. Some finish lines stay forever,
because they changed the conversation
between who I was
and who kept running afterward.
for someone, it's crossing alone.
For someone,
Hearing their name, for someone, it's realizing
they endured something they once feared.
and none of those moments become, the less I separate. Running from living, both leave marks that only reveal meaning after enough distance from the moment itself. Some finish lines stay forever,
Not because they ended something,
but because they quietly began
a different version of your life. People remember victories for a while, but the soul remembers specific efforts for reasons.
Language struggles to hold,
And maybe certain races never truly finish. They continue existing inside posture, inside resilience.
inside the way you return to hard things. Some finish lines stay forever,
I carry them still,
through ordinary mornings,
through aging legs,
through every road that asks who I became.
after crossing them.
Tape long gone,
Memory intact,
still finishing.
the barriers were gone hours ago.
Crowds dissolved into traffic lights,
Paper cups drifting
near empty sidewalks,
under fading skies.
medals tucked away, shoes left near the door.
Notifications slowing,
One by one until the room
returns.
silence.
There was a time I believed finish lines would hold something
Permanent, a feeling strong enough to outlast ordinary days. Long after the finish line,
something remained,
not the applause,
not the numbers.
just a quieter version of myself.
Walking home differently. The body remembers in unusual ways.
Stairs feel softer,
Breathing steadier,
small movements carrying echoes
of distant effort.
Uncertain mornings still contain pieces of races,
Nobody mentions anymore,
stored somewhere
beneath routine and passing years.
I stopped expecting completion from achievement, because every ending quietly opened another conversation with myself. Long after the finish
The
line,
road kept speaking
through habits, through posture,
through the strange comfort of returning.
before dawn.
For someone,
The race was survival,
for someone,
unfinished redemption,
for someone,
proof they could still meet themselves honestly under pressure.
and none of those meanings,
Stay fixed,
they age,
shift shape
gather different way
through different seasons.
of life. The older I get,
The less I believe,
running is about arrival.
somewhere along the years, it
Became more about
remaining connected to something essential. Long after the finish line,
still return,
not to repeat the past,
but to recognize
who survived it and kept moving anyway.
most finished lines.
Disappear quickly, be washed away,
Photos forgotten
but certain efforts continue living.
inside your nervous system.
And maybe endurance isn't measured
By how hard you pushed,
but by what quietly stayed alive after everything's settled. Long after the finish lines,
the road still exists,
not demanding, not urgent, just waiting.
like an old language.
My body never forgot. Empty streets, alter heartbeat, still hearing the course. The question arrived between breaths, not dramatic, not heavy, just quietly placed somewhere beside the road.
My knees answer first before my thoughts did. Small stiffness lingering longer than it used to after colder mornings.
There was a time I ran toward things, records, recognition, proof that effort could become something visible. How long will I keep running? Long enough to recognize the person who keeps returning.
defines everything. Some days I notice other things, the sound of breathing settling into rhythm again. I've stopped measuring worth only through speed, because some victories arrive quietly inside endurance. People assume running ends when ambition fades, but maybe that's where a different reason begins. How long will I keep running until movement feels more honest than standing still? Until these streets stop feeling like conversation. For someone, running is escape. For someone, structure. For someone, it's the 1 hour their thoughts finally loosen. And none of those reasons remain unchanged. They evolve with seasons, with age, with whatever life removes or leaves behind. I no longer believe consistency means intensity. Sometimes continuing looks slower, quieter, less impressive from the outside. How long will I keep running? Probably longer than my goals, because somewhere along the years they stopped being a challenge and became part of my language. Not every runner is chasing improvement. Some are preserving something fragile inside themselves. And maybe the finish line changes shape once you realize the road itself was carrying you to. How long will I keep running until the mornings feel unfamiliar without it? Until my body says no more clearly than my heart does. Older shoes, same dawn, still answering the road. The corner store still lights the street. Same crosswalk sound, same early air. Nothing here suggests time has passed. I know these turns before they come, the cracked pavement, the uphill curve, a route repeated often enough to live inside me. I used to think change looked obvious, new places, new results, something visible enough to separate before from after. Same route, new self, same morning sky, same red lights, but different lungs, different thoughts, carry through the same road. I remember where I slowed down, where I once stopped, where breathing broke. Places that used to feel farther away than they do now. Not easier, just familiar in a different way. Like my body learned something before I noticed it. I searched for growth and bigger moments, faster miles, better numbers, while most of it was hidden inside repetition. Same route, new self, not rebuilt, not replaced, just shaped slowly through mornings that looked identical from outside. Oh, for someone it's recovery, for someone consistency, for someone it's proving they can return again. And none of it looks dramatic, still something changes every time they pass through the same streets again. No sudden transformation arrived, no single run explained it, just time meeting effort repeated honestly. Same road, new self, still counts, still grows, not because everything changed, but because I did. Sometimes growth is an escape, sometimes it's returning to the same places and realizing you're no longer the same there. And the roads that watched you struggle quietly witness who you became without saying a word. Same road, new self is how I know I've changed, not through distance, not through records, but through the person who keeps coming back. Same shoes, same streetlights, waiting outside. Nothing about this morning
Look different.
from the last one. The body moved before thought arrived. Coffee cooling, breath adjusting. Small habits tagged quietly into motion. I used to search for dramatic change, something visible, something immediate, a moment that proved I was improving. Growth inside routine doesn't announce itself, it settles slowly between repeated steps until one day the familiar feels lighter. There were runs I barely remembered, days that dissolved into schedules, nothing worthy of recording at the time. Still something kept shaping, not loudly, not clearly, just gradually through repetition and return. I checked numbers, pace charts, weekly totals, looking for proof while most of it was happening elsewhere. Growth inside routine builds beneath the tension, inside ordinary effort, inside the choice to continue when nothing feels new. For someone it's discipline, for someone stability, for someone it's 1 hour life finally slows down. And none of it looks impressive, still it changes how they stand, how they breathe, how they carry days. No breakthrough arrives suddenly, no perfect run define me, just repetition meeting time again and again. Growth inside routine still remains, still builds, not because it was exciting, but because it continued honestly. Most growth looks ordinary while it's happening, quiet enough to be mistaken for nothing. And what you repeat through enough mornings might shape you more deeply than ambition ever could. Growth inside routine became part of me, not through intensity, not through pressure, just through returning before the sun fully rose. Same morning, different self, still becoming. Nothing about it looked important, small routines barely remembered, days that passed without asking to be kept. A few slow miles after long shifts, quiet mornings before the world fully arrived. Nothing dramatic, just repeated. I used to think change appeared through milestones, through visible turns, something clear enough to divide before and after. Years inside small efforts, hidden in ordinary days, not loud enough to notice until one day I stood somewhere new. There were seasons I questioned everything, runs that felt unfinished, effort that disappeared before it could mean anything. Still something kept collecting, not in records, not in praise, but somewhere deeper than recognition. I searched for proof and outcomes, times on screens, numbers that moved, but most of it was forming outside my view. Years inside small efforts, built quietly without permission, layer by layer, through repetition. I almost overlooked, for someone it's surviving, for someone staying steady, for someone it's learning not to disappear inside pressure. And none of it looks heroic, still it shapes the way they carry themselves through life. No single effort changed me, no sudden breakthrough arrived, just time meeting repetition honestly. Years inside small efforts still remain, still speak, not because they were perfect, but because they accumulated without stopping. Most transformations don't announce themselves, they settle slowly into posture, breathing, and the way you continue, and what you repeat through difficult years might become the truest thing about you. Years
lost importance. Some disappeared before the day ended. Just another route, another return through familiar streets. There were slow ones, uneven ones, runs I almost skipped before stepping out. Nothing about them looked like progress at the time. I searched for meaning in big moments, clear improvements, visible change, something easier to recognize as growth. Every run added something, not always speed, not always strength, sometimes just proof that I came back again. Some runs loosened what I carried, some made silence easier to hold, some just taught me how to continue without feeling ready. And some gave nothing, at least it seemed that way, until much later when I realized they stayed inside how I move now. I used to believe progress should feel clear, a sharp turn, a visible rise, but most of it arrived quietly over time. Every run added something, even the heavy ones, even the short ones, they settled into places I didn't notice while living them. For someone it's endurance, for someone a clearer mind, for someone it's 1 hour they didn't disappear inside themselves. And none of it looks the same, still every step leaves behind something that remains after. No single run made me, no perfect day defined this, just repetition, layering slowly into form. Every run added something, still counts, still stays, not because it was perfect, but because I kept returning. Not all growth feels meaningful while it's happening. Some only reveal themselves after enough time has passed. And what you repeat honestly might shape you more deeply than what you achieve once. Every run adding something, and over time it became me. Not all at once, not dramatically, just quietly, through years of returning. Different self, still adding up. Same road, different self, still adding up. The numbers changed slightly, nothing dramatic, just enough to notice. After I stopped to watch, no explosion, no raised voice, just breeze settling into a body that knew it went further. I used to think records arrived all at once, clear moments, clean victories, easy to name. Still updating my record, not only time, not only pace, just rewriting what I thought I could hold for this long. Some progress never shows until one day something familiar feels lighter than before. The road stayed unchanged, same journey, same distance, still I move through it differently. I've chased numbers for meaning, looked at screens for proof, but this felt quieter than that. Still updating my record without announcing, without display, just another layer added through repetition and return. For someone it's pace, for someone consistency, for someone it's simply not stopping this time. And none of it looks alike, still it changes the shape of who they become. version to reach.
No perfect number to hold, just movement that keeps expanding. Still updating my record, still counts, still grows.
Not because it's public,
But because I know a change. Records aren't only broken, some are slowly redefined.
through ordinary days,
Repeated honestly,
and what improves over time
might be deeper than anything a result can show. Still updating my record is how I live.
right now.
Not finished, not complete, just further than the version before. New number, new number, same road, still becoming.
The runner no one notices. The runner no one notices. I'm not the one they look for. No early pace, no sudden move, just part of the road, blending into motion. Shoes hit ground, same as theirs, but no one tracks where I am. Just another stride in the middle of everything. I've seen them pass, heard the cheers, felt the shift when someone leads, but none of it lands here. The runner no one notices, still runs, still stays, not in front, not behind, just somewhere they don't name. For someone, this is everything. For me, just today, no record I need to break, no place to claim. Still I move through distance without a mark, without a call, just step by step, holding my own line. I've thought about going faster, pushing more, being seen, but something in me never needed that. The runner no one notices, doesn't fade, doesn't stop, just continues in a way that doesn't ask to be known. They pass me, I pass them, no moment stays long enough to mean what I thought it would. And still this road includes me, not loudly, not clearly, but fully. No spotlight to hold, no silence to break, just movement that stays its own. The runner no one notices, still counts, still builds, not because it's seen, but because it exists. Not every run is a story, some are just lived without telling. And what you do without being seen might be the most honest form of it. The runner no one notices became how I run, not louder, not different, just mine from start to end. No name, no call, still running, 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 running. I moved ahead, just enough, not a sprint, not a surge, just a shift that placed me in front. Their footsteps fell behind, not far, still close, but something in the sound changed. I've imagined this closing the gap, moving past being ahead, a moment that meant something. After I passed them, nothing arrived, no rush, no lift, just space where something should have been. The pace stayed steady, no break, no fall, still the weight didn't change the way I thought it would. The road looked the same, no mark, no line, just distance continuing without reaction. I've chased this for miles, a place to reach, but standing here felt quieter than expected. After I passed them, no answer came, no meaning attached, just motion that didn't shift inside. For someone it's relief, for someone just silence, for someone it's a question they didn't plan to ask. And none of it feet kept time with the ground steady, predictable like they've done 100 times before. But my mind wasn't here, it drifted past the streets of places that don't move at all. I've trained for focus, for presence, for control every step, but something slipped without warning. Running, but somewhere else, not lost, not gone, just split between what moves and what stays behind. Running, but somewhere else, not lost. The rhythm stayed unchanged, no stumble, no break, still something felt disconnected. Like I was watching from outside, a version of me doing it right without being fully there. I've tried to fix it, pull it back, stay in the moment, stay on track, but forcing it only pushed me further away. Running, but somewhere else, not weak or not wrong, just carrying more than one place at once. Running, but somewhere else, not weaker. For someone, it's stress. For someone, just noise. For someone, it's everything they didn't say yet, and none of it shows in the stride. Still it moves through every step they take. No correction to make, no version to fix, just movement that includes everything inside. Running, but somewhere else still counts, still stays, not because it's perfect, but because it continues. Not every run is present, some are carried through distance without focus. And what you hold while moving might matter more than how you run it. Running, running. Running, but somewhere else is still a run, not divided, not broken, just real in a way you don't name. Body here, mind away, still forward. It came in quietly, not loud, not sharp, just a sentence that fit the moment too well. You've done enough, this is fine. Words that didn't push, just settled like they belonged in my head. No sudden drop, no breaking point, just a slow shift towards stopping that felt completely reasonable. The thought that almost won wasn't wrong, was weak, just close enough to ending before something stayed. My pace adjusted without asking, not slower, just less certain, like I had already decided something. The road didn't change, but I did not fully, not clearly, just leaning toward leaving. I pushed through pain before 4 steps held pace, but this didn't feel like that. The thought that almost won didn't shout, didn't fight, it simply waited long enough to be accepted. For someone it's fatigue, for someone just doubt, for someone it's that quiet line they don't notice crossing, and none of it looks the same. Still it leads to a place where stopping feels like sense. No argument to resist, no reason to deny, just a moment that could have ended everything. The thought that almost won still counts, still stays, not because it left, but because I didn't follow it. Not every battle is loud, some almost end before they begin, and what held wasn't strength, just something that didn't let go yet. The thought that almost won became what I passed, not clearly, not proudly, but just enough to keep going. It stayed close, I moved. I saw a version up ahead, not faster, just familiar, like something I used to be without knowing. When same posture, same rhythm, a way of moving. I remember before I started thinking this much. I've changed things, adjusted form, fixed mistakes, tracked progress, but something in that stride felt easier. Running next to who I was, not behind, not ahead, just close enough to notice what I left and what stayed. There were days I forced control, perfect pace, perfect breath, trying to become something I thought I should be. But that version up ahead didn't carry any of that, just moved like it belonged to the road. I've tried to improve, to evolve, to be better, to be more, but maybe I stepped away from something that worked. Running next to who I was, not to return, not to chase, just to see what I forgot and trying to move forward. For someone, it's progress. For someone, it's control. For someone, it's letting go